Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes on the Rebirth server. We are with Quintessence last, our level 25 brute, who has 367,000 experience, 78,000 to go to get to level 26 on our next superpower, and 2.3 million influence. And we're finally on the Wheel of Destruction story arc, which we started last time with part 2, and it's clearly bugged because this happened to our last character. We're now going to do part 1. One of my heroes found this broken piece of stone while he was stopping a banished Pantheon plot. Looks familiar, and I need you to find out more about it. Can you take it to Azuria? So we're here in Alice Park, and we'll just head right over to Azuria. And I'm not sure why it on this server. It did not happen to me on Homecoming. I'm not sure why on this server the Wheel of Destruction arc comes out of order. It was also brutally hard to get the arc. We were supposed to get it theoretically from Andrea Mitchell, but she wouldn't talk to us. Instead, we got it from this other guy. So, not sure what's going on with this arc. She says, "Where'd you find this? It appears to be one of the pieces of the Wheel of Destruction. You are meant to keep this. Do not question me. Many villains in Paragon City would kill to have the assembled Wheel of Destruction." Okay, and then part 2 was we got like ambushed or whatever. Or no, we didn't get ambushed yet. We went in and attacked some guys in a warehouse, right? So he says, if Missouri says you're meant to keep it, then you're meant to keep it. Part 3. After calling around, I found another piece of the Wheel of Destruction. The CEO of Vorheit Industries was using it as a conversation piece in his office. I told him of its origin, and now he can't wait for it to be out of his hands. Go get it. Now, we know there will be some villains, right? Because that's the way it always is. There are going to have to be villains to fight. And that's what we want to do, is fight villains. After all, we're a brute, and we like beating people up. That's what we do for a living. I'm having a real fun time with this character. We're halfway through levels. Of course, it's not halfway through the character. In terms of experience, for example, you need almost 5 million, and we have like 3 or 400,000, so we still have 90% of the experience to go, even though we're 50% of the way through the levels. Of course, the experience doesn't scale linearly. Like half the experience you have to earn is in like the last 3 or 4 levels. And of course, you get a lot more experience per enemy at the higher levels than you do at the lower levels. But still, by the time you get to the higher levels, you have to kill dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of enemies just to get a bead and go through a lot of missions and a lot of story arcs. So things are, at least theoretically, quicker at the low levels and quicker at the low levels and slower at the high levels. However, they did rescale some of the mission rewards and story arc rewards and so forth a long time before this game was sunset, so that the higher levels didn't take anywhere near the grind that they took back in the original days of the game, because they made it very, very long grind, because it's all there was to do. There was no end game content. At first, there weren't even any Chaldeans, so they wanted you to take forever to get to the upper levels, because they didn't have anything else to do, and they were afraid people were going to stop subscribing. Turns out they needn't have really worried about that much, because a lot of people, the game is fun, and people like playing different archetypes and different power sets, and so it's fun to like re-experience parts of the game with a new character. And I didn't think to bring extra accuracy inspirations with me, which is going to be a pain with the Storm Shaman, but that's all right. He's not +1, so we might be alright. Yeah, we still have to worry about Hurricane. Let's just head out of it. It's a huge debuff, so we'll just wait him out. Yeah, I feel like in retrospect they probably would have done fine in City of Heroes if they had just had the leveling go a little faster, and then just let people experience the story arcs they missed with their first character, with their second character. A lot of people would have done that. I think they didn't realize And I'm pretty sure this actually came up, and they talked about it on the forum, that they didn't realize just how much alting people were going to do, and how willing people were to replay parts of the game just to experience a new character, and that probably the main deterrent to doing that was the grind, right? People wanted, like what I'm doing now, where I'm just kind of whipping through the levels and re-experiencing it, but not like taking forever to do it. I mean, if I hadn't turned off experience, we'd be like level 27 already, or at least level 26. That people were fine with, but a lot of people didn't want to do this massive uber grind in the upper levels with their alts. And so I think the City of Heroes devs didn't realize just how much alting people were going to want to do. And as a consequence, they made it more grindier. I don't know, right way to say that. They made it grindier than it needed to be, because they didn't realize when they designed the leveling algorithm just how much fun people were going to have leveling different character types, and how many different characters people were going to make. I mean, they started. I can't remember if they actually started with 8 characters or if it was a little less than that on each server, but eventually got much higher. And like the player run servers now, you can have hundreds or even like 1,000 alts. Not that anybody has 1,000, but one of the things that absolutely caught them blindsided at City of Heroes was just how much people liked making alts and re-experiencing the same missions with a different character, and just seeing, all right, how does the Brute play differently from the Dominator or what have you. They really didn't. I don't think they realized just how much fun it was to do that, and that people were going to want to do so much of it. I think they were afraid people were going to get to level 50 and say, I don't want to play anymore. And the danger of that was increased because originally you had to play every single story arc all the way through the game on a single character just to get to level 50. There were no times when it was like, oh, we're going to outlevel our story arc. Oh, heck no. You would finish your 5 contacts, do every story arc in your 5-level range, and still have 2.5 levels to go and have to grind, right? And that was the part people weren't really down for repeating. And if they had just made the game less grindy, right, and just make it so that you can gain enough levels that you only need like 3 story arcs per character, then people would have been even more happy to re-experience those parts of the game they hadn't played, or not re-experience, experience them in the first place. They would have been perfectly happy to do that if the leveling curve had been a little more like it is today, right? I mean, one of the cool things about City of Heroes now is that unless you turn off experience, you can't do every single available story arc before you outlevel everything. And so that kind of makes you want to make multiple characters up to do the story arcs you didn't do. And even with Ouroboros there, a lot of people still want to try new story arcs or even retry the old story arcs with the new characters. And they really didn't expect that. I think they were floored by the extent to which people liked doing that. Right? I'm sure they were hopeful that people would do it, and they probably thought people would do it a little bit, but I don't think they really expected people to actually make 8 characters and fill up the whole server. And there were players who, over the course of the game's lifetime, were being recharge debuffed by this guy. There were players who, over the course of the game's development cycle from 2004 to 2011 or 12, when it 12, I guess, when it was turned off. I personally know people who said this. They had every slot on every server filled, like 8 characters on whatever it is, 8 servers, and not just level 1 characters. They leveled them all. And again, I think that is something that they did not really expect when they first created the game, which is why they made so much of it grindy when it first came out. One thing I do want to point out, by the way, with the Storm Shaman, this Hurricane is not just a debuff. It also will knock you down if you don't have Mez defense. I happen to have Mez defense, right? In fact, 7.4 magnitude hold protection and probably 7.4 magnitude knockdown protection. So he can't knock me down. He can debuff me, but he can't knock me down. And I just don't feel like standing there whiffing over and over again, so... Next time, guys, I'll try to remember to bring a lot more yellow inspirations, and then we can just down 2 of them and go beat them up. But since I didn't remember to do that, we'll just back away from them and let the Hurricane get turned off. Avalanche isn't so bad. They debuff our recharge, but at least we don't just constantly miss them. Oh, I thought I was going to get this dry chamber. Man, these guys are ugly. I thought Vajaloks are ugly, but these guys are even worse. So what are they taking half damage from? Negative, I guess, because they didn't... Yeah, so these guys have negative resistance. Interesting. I did not know that. Because they were easy to beat up with martial arts. Okay, so these guys are a little tougher for this character. This is one of the... This may be the first time that we've come across a set of enemies who are actually a little bit harder for the Dark Melee than for martial arts. I would say Circle of Thorns is about even, because those the Nervous Spectral Demons and the guys that debuff you are just brutal no matter what. Vajaloks were a little easier, not that much easier. These guys are a little bit harder. Not a lot harder, but they're a touch harder. And that's because of their negative resistance. Not many enemies have negative energy resistance. It's actually quite rare compared to the number that have like smashing and lethal resistance. So we're looking for the artifact. My guess is it will be a glowy. No matter how many times I have done this mission, and I'm sure I've done it 7 or 8, I don't have any specific memory of how we're going to find it, like where it will be, or whether it's a glowy or what have you. But I think it's a glowy. I don't think we have to like beat anybody up to take it like off of them. I think it's just going to be in a little glowy bookcase or something. Now the guy who owned it might be up here as well, although it doesn't appear that we have to save anybody. What is going on over there? Oh, there's an avalanche shaman over there. It's been quite a week for me. It'll probably be about 2 weeks until this is posted, maybe a little less, but at the time of me recording this, I've posted Season 1, Episode 14, so that'll tell you about how much time has gone by. This is the end of a week. It's a Friday. I've spent the whole week working, doing stuff for my students, starting my classes, because this is the first week of classes. It's really funny. Each class, they're all online, and all of them I've settled on, like just the easiest way to deal with online classes is to make a set of modules, and all of my modules are basically 2 weeks long, and they end at the same time every week, every 2 weeks. So either on Friday or on Saturday or Sunday or what have you. And so, to keep my sanity and to make it possible for me to actually grade things, I made sure to put my classes on different days. So the one class turns things in on Wednesdays, one turns things in on Fridays, and one turns things in on Sundays. So I was talking to the kids who are in the class that turns things in on Fridays, and one of the students put into the chat, "Can you make it?" I said the due date for everything it'll be every other Friday. So if it's Friday, you know something is due, and that should make it easy. And he put into the chat, "Can you make it Sundays?" And I don't know what it is with students, but they always seem to think that if you just give them another couple days, they'll do better. Now, you might think, well, hey, that's logical. They've got 2 more days to work on it. But the thing is, they don't work on it for 2 more days. If it's due Friday and I give them till Sunday, they don't spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday working on it. They just wait until Sunday to do it. And what this young man doesn't know is that a bunch of students complained last semester because apparently nearly every single professor had put all the due dates on Sunday. And they said everything's due at the same time, and it's making things hard. And as the one guy pointed out, one of the faculty members pointed out, well, just because like 3 professors make something due on Sunday doesn't mean you have to wait until Sunday to do it. But that is kind of what they all do. So I said to him, no, I'm sorry, I have another class that turns things in on Sundays. You guys need to turn things in on Friday. So I don't know if he liked it or not, but the reality is if it's a 2-week module, you get 14 days to do it. So I said, if you really want to do stuff on Sundays, just do it the Sunday before instead of on Friday. And I don't think he liked it. And I said, look, the due date is the last day you can turn it in. It's not the first day you can turn it in. Turn it in earlier. And then one of the students, even after I said that, one of the young ladies in the class said, can we turn it in ahead of time? I said, of course you can turn it in. All 7, in this particular class, which I taught last semester online, all 7 modules are done. I've already recorded all the lectures. Most of them are from last semester. I just reposted them. All the quizzes are made. All of the report instructions are made. All I have to do in that class is meet them once a week and grade, which is all I'm going to have time to do because I've got other classes that I'm developing for the first time this semester, which is why I did this class the easy way. And I said, everything's done. You can do from module 1 to module 7 right now if you want. I don't expect her to do it, but, I did say, please do the modules in order. Don't just start doing module 7 now. But I said, yeah, you can do it, do it as early as you want. So she may be okay if she actually does stuff early, but I think a lot of these students think that a lot of them want more time because they want to procrastinate, not because they actually want to work on it longer. And although I understand the urge to procrastinate, I do it too. I can't have everything come in on Sundays. There's just no way. I'll never be able to get the grading done. So they're gonna have to live with Fridays. But it's really interesting how often students ask for more time. And even if you say you can have the more time, they're like, oh, thank you so much. And then they don't do anything with that time. I give 3 free 3-day extensions to my class. No questions asked. Whatever due date you want, except for at the very end because I can't extend the last day of classes. But before the end of the semester, any due date you want, you can just email me and say, I want to use an extension. And you get 3 of them. And I give you 3 free days. And I had students last semester repeatedly use up all 3 of the 3-day extensions and yet not turn anything in, right? Whatever it was they got extended, I gave them 3 days and they still took a 0 on it. They didn't turn it in. Why'd you bother to get the extension? And they were so grateful every time that I gave them the extension, and yet they didn't do anything with it. This one particular student. Okay, back to the hurricane, and I only have 1 accuracy inspiration, so we'll just wait him out. Yeah, I definitely need to get more of those. I'm going to have to consolidate this. I don't really need the blues. I'm going to move the reds over, and we'll come in here with 6 next time. Or into the next mission with 6. Now, of course, the flip side of all that is one of my students, um, their module isn't due for a week, and one of my students, and the class just started 4 days ago, and 3 days ago, one of my students turned in her assignments for the first module. And I glanced at it. I don't grade them ahead of time, and the main reason is I tell them you can take it down and repost it if you want. So I don't know if that's like a rough draft and she intends to, upgrade it, like make it better. So I'm not going to grade it because I want to give her the full 2 weeks. But I looked at it and I'm like, she doesn't need the full 2 weeks because it was actually pretty good. All right, what are the odds this guy's going to do hurricane on us? Let's see. Yeah, he's going to. If he's shooting lightning, yep. We'll just wait. They are stupid enough to turn it off, so we'll just wait. So yeah, I see something like that. I'm like, well, there's one A student for the semester. Probably, right? I mean, you never know. But when somebody is on the ball enough to, in a 14-day module, turn it in on like the third day, and it's right, and it's really well done, that student's probably going to get an A. Now, I did have a student last semester who was just awesome in the first like module. She was amazing. She did a great job, and then she stopped doing stuff, and she didn't do anything in modules like 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and then she came back and did an awesome job on 6 and 7. But it was too late. Then she had so many zeros she failed. That I don't understand. She could have got hundreds. I don't know what happened. Maybe she just, there's a pandemic. Maybe life intervened. She didn't email me. She didn't contact me and say she needed any help. She didn't ask for extensions. So I don't know what happened. Every once in a while that'll occur. But hopefully this young lady who did an awesome job like 2 days into the first module will just keep doing that and will be one of my A's. All right, Oliver Hoke says, thanks for keeping the piece of the Wheel of Destruction out of the Pantheon's hands. You can see how it fits with the other pieces you found. Well, there's one other piece I found. We are close to completing the entire wheel. I thought there were a lot more parts to this. Part 4. I just found out that Sue tried to steal that piece of the Wheel of Destruction from you. Why that Sue? That Sue didn't try to steal it. Are they supposed to ambush me? Let's try it. Let's see if we get ambushed. Sometimes if you go through an elevator, it'll trigger. Not an elevator, I don't know why I want to call them elevators. A train station. Let's go through the train station and see if we can trigger an ambush. So the way to do this, I guess I'll go to Independence Port because it's going to be a level 25 ambush. I don't want to go to, one of the lower level zones, and I don't want to put myself on a high level zone because I don't want to wander around Brickstown 10 levels below the zone's level range. Where the heck am I here? Okay, here we are. And there is the ghost ship. This thing is really cool. I don't know that you can do anything with it. I think ghosts appear in its wake and you can fight them. And there's probably some sort of a badge associated, but let's see if we can get the ambush to trigger. So let's just go to Independence. And I'm just going to hop away from the train station and wait a sec to see if the Sioux try to ambush me. It'll be a lame ambush. It'll just be our level, but let's just head over here and see if we can get them to ambush us. Oh, I don't want to wake those guys up. Let's just... How about right here? Okay. So just wait a minute and see if they attack. It doesn't look like it, though. Usually it happens very quickly. Alright, guys. Let's call him up and go ahead and take his next mission. So yeah, he says, now I know why they ambushed us, but they didn't. So, stop the villains and their crews. So, they tried to steal the piece of the Wheel of Destruction. They already have the other piece. Okay. And I'm fairly sure after we get it all together, they're going to take it back. But I may be wrong about that. Maybe we're just going to go assemble it. So let's head over. We're certainly not going to assemble it tonight. This will be our last mission of the evening. But in the next episode, we probably will. Oh, by the way, this is cool. You see this Scheherazade? In one of my supergroups, there was a villain, or no, a hero, named like Lady Scheherazade, and somehow or other, the player had written up in their background that like their character was, I don't know, the wife of the owner of whatever Scheherazade was. I feel like somebody said it was a bookstore, but I really don't remember what it was supposed to be. Okay, yeah, these guys are going to be easy. Oh, and I forgot to grab... After all that, I forgot to grab yellow inspirations. That's because I called him on the phone, so there's no store when you call them on the phone, and I didn't think of it. Now, interestingly enough, the spirits, the ancestral spirits, are not resistant to negative. I would think ghosts would be a little resistant to it, since they're probably already negative energy themselves, what with being ghosts and all. We're going this way. But you can see it's doing 16-16, so there's no resistance to negative with the ancestral spirit. I used to feel bad about beating them up as Silver Phoenix because she was also Chinese, but Quintessence Lass is not, so she doesn't really care. I mean, she's not mean, but she doesn't have any particular emotional or cultural ties to the ancestral spirits the way Silver Phoenix did. I kind of role-played it that the ancestral spirits were not evil, but had been corrupted by the Sioux sorcerers. And so Silver Phoenix was not, shall we say, beating them up so much as releasing them from the control of the sorcerers who were the evil ones. And since I hate Sioux sorcerers, I was more than happy to roleplay that they were the bad guys. Because I'm always happy to beat up Sioux sorcerers. Mostly because of how annoying they are. With their teleporting and healing the other mobs and so on. Yes, unfortunately, one thing we're going to face is that we're only going to be fighting white to yellow cons in these missions because even though it's +1, as I mentioned in I think the previous episode, the mission, the story arc cap is level 24. So +1 to 24 is 25, and it's a +1 mission, so that's the highest they can put into this storyline. Now I could change it to +2, but I'm not going to bother because we only have a couple more parts, and then we're going to be on level 25 to 30 story arcs. Oh, they disappear, that's right. I love just jumping down on these guys and kicking their butts. So the Ancestor Spirit come back only to get into my cone area and get smacked. So now we have to stop the villain leaders and their crews. I don't know who the villain leaders and their crews are, but let's just start beating guys up. There may be some down this other way too. And I still do really like energy melee. It's so cool looking. One of these days I need to make like an energy tanker or something. Or maybe Scrapper? Do they have energy melee Scrappers now? They might. I know they have. I'm pretty sure they have energy melee Brutes, but I don't remember if they have EM Scrappers. Can I get him before he disappears? Nope. And that is the mission. I guess I did get him before he disappeared. Alright, let's head out. Alright, we're at 30 minutes. I think that's enough, especially since the last episode was really long. What do we have for a clue here? We have 4 pieces. And he says the wheel of destruction is slowly coming together. Good work. So there's another part. We're going to take our pieces to Azoria. Well, let's do that. I mean, we do have... It's not that long. We'll just head over there and then we'll stop. And I need to sell enhancements, but I will do that off screen. And pick up some more. What I'm going to do is go to Ouroboros. And the guy right by the gate will buy all your enhancements for full price. And will sell inspirations so I can purchase more yellows. And that should hopefully help us against those Storm Shaman annoying hurricanes. It's a great power for a PC, by the way. Probably the very first character I made in beta was a guy called, was it Dr. Cyclone or something? And he had that. And I think I got him to the level where he could use it. It's a pretty cool power. Storm Summoning Defender. That's what he was. Way back at the beginning. I really like the way the dark super jump looks. It looks cool. It took me a little while to get used to it, but I think it's really awesome looking. I think overall I've been very happy with the visuals as well as the performance on this character. It's just been a very satisfying character to play. She says, I will put some of our most talented mystics to work studying these pieces of the Wheel of Destruction. And so he says it's a relief that Magi has it. So if we go into the clues, it just says we took the pieces to Azoria for safekeeping, and I guarantee you, even though I'm going to be standing right here the whole time, somebody's going to come in here when I blink and take them away. But we will figure that out next time. Until then, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.